Welcome to the Authority File, the academic library podcast from Choice. Choice is a publishing division of the ACRL and the publisher of Choice Reviews and CC Advisor. This episode is brought to you by Sage Publishing. I'm Bill Mickey, the host of the podcast and the editorial director at Choice, and for this 4-episode series, my guests and I discuss the evolving research workflow and the opportunities academic libraries have to embed themselves deeper within it. We'll also talk about how these integrations impact library services and the value they deliver back to the institution. In this final episode, we continue our conversation on patron privacy, particularly as some of the larger academic publishers are shifting into a more data-centric business model and how mobile may or may not factor into library tech solutions. My guests include Richard Griscom, Associate University Librarian for Departmental Libraries at the University of Pennsylvania, Karen Phillips, Senior Vice President, Global Learning Resources and UK Editorial at Sage Publishing, and Johan Tilstra, the founder and CEO of Lean Library. Karen, I wanted to pull you into this a little bit, especially sort of the backdrop, I guess, that's going on right now is among the really big publishers is that they're kind of shifting to sort of a data harvesting kind of business model where the content's one thing that they've always done, but now they're seeing all these opportunities around the data that gets thrown off the engagement and use of this content, and then figuring out how to monetize that. And I'm wondering if you could describe a little bit where Sage kind of fits into that, or what their stance is on all of this, and especially as you're looking for opportunities such as you did with Lean Library, how these concerns or opportunities or perspectives kind of fit into your as you look at other products going forward.
So we are aware that some of our competitors are absolutely seeing themselves increasingly as kind of technology companies that kind of can start really using data and potentially monetizing data. And we're not looking to go down that route. So we're kind of a publishing company with a long history of publishing really good quality materials. We're really aware that, as Dick's been saying, it's really important to the librarian, data privacy, the privacy of their patrons and how their data is being used. We are just aim to be transparent in how we use data, kind of what there's places where you need to use data to get people on board or for us to kind of manage parts of our business. You do need to be able to kind of hold people's data at certain times. But part of that's just working with authors but making sure that we do that only for the period of time that we need to, that we're really good partners, and that we get questions of us as we're talking to potential partners around actually kind of what's our data strategy, how are we planning to use our data. We're really focused on developing good products that really support the library in delivering on its objectives. So and part of that is increasing usage. We will get usage data, but that's very much at an aggregated level. But we're not. We need to work out what the right line is as we go forward. But we're not heading down that road right now of really seeing how we can harvest data and monetize it.
Okay. And then, Johan, I'm curious how the mobile platform might, or mobile access might factor into this. Is this something Lean Library is addressing? And maybe if you could also talk a little bit about the challenges unique to mobile as well.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we are addressing, that we want to address more. One of the challenges with mobile devices is that the tech stack itself is very, very closed off. So not many mobile devices have not many browsers or mobile devices actually have support for browser extensions themselves. So it's a lot harder to offer that proactive, seamless service that we do offer on PCs and laptops right now. We see that really diving into databases, doing research, writing papers, gathering references, that is still predominantly being done on PCs and laptops. So that's where we can be of great added value to end users of libraries. But we also see that more and more people are using their mobile devices to just keep up to date or simply read stuff. And we're looking into how we can support those as well. But we do want to do this still in a very privacy-minded way and with a real focus on the convenience of the end user as well.
Okay, excellent. Great. And just let's go a little bit back into the idea of delivery and touch again on sort of this idea that library discovery systems are sort of, I guess, an aging technology. And I'm wondering if you can take us back, Karen, to talk about the world that they were sort of created to serve and how that might be different again as what's going on today.
Yeah. It's interesting because library discovery is not actually that old, even though it looks like an aging technology. So it shows how quickly the world changes. But my understanding is it was very much around the time of just getting the library catalogue kind of up live on a website, so that would enable patrons to kind of see what materials were that the library materials had and kind of what was available. And I think I said actually a bit earlier, kind of, at a time where people used to walk into the library, at a time where people kind of, thought of, I need some materials, let me look on the library website or go to the library building, let me see what I can find, then, that was, a really great moment of having things live so that people could access. But that's really not how students and researchers, it's not really how they're looking to find materials, either research or kind of learning materials. They're looking, in Google Scholar's the key. It's the most widely used search platform. So it does mean that library discovery is kind of less at the centre. But then I think it's really key that technology that we're using does enable the library still to get the window onto what's being used in a way that library discovery, I presume, did. Yeah, and also can connect in with different parts of the library management systems as well as kind of learning management systems. So I think it's not about abandoning that technology, it's actually about finding smart new ways of connecting into systems that actually are core to the library but actually core to the higher education institution.
Mm-hmm. And Dick, you touched on this I think a little bit earlier in our conversation. If you talk a little bit more about when you looked out at the library users and researchers at Penn, what were some of the pain points you were beginning to see with that setup? You mentioned 75% of the budget is now on acquiring electronic formats. Was that kind of exacerbating the problem, so to speak?
Oh yeah, it definitely was.
Mm-hmm.
So more and more content was available electronically. There was increased use off campus. Johan mentioned that often users, when they use this electronic content, they don't realize it's coming from the library. So that's been an issue for us too. We've tried to include in our contracts clauses that require vendors to include presented to you by the Penn libraries when users use resources, so that they know it's coming from the library. But on that point, one great thing about the Lean Library browser plugin is that there's a pop-up and it says this content is available to you through the Penn libraries. So we had that branding fairly consistently with the browser plugin. That's a great thing about it. So I think that aspect of users knowing that they're getting this content from the library, even though they aren't in the building, using resources that they can touch, I think that's important to put that in front of them.
Okay. So yeah, I kind of like this idea of recentering the library and all of this activity. And, Dick, maybe you can address this a little bit more. The idea that it kind of, I think Johan and Karen were talking about this too earlier, where the library kind of got lost in the mix in terms of as students and researchers were accessing the materials. The library made it so efficient that you were sort of less aware that it was even sort of facilitating that. Dick, how are you seeing your library kind of reemerge, I guess, as sort of a more prevalent partner in this whole process?
Well, I think we've had to readjust our approach to our users. Now that users are getting more and more content electronically, they're working outside the library, we've had to look at our relationship with them. We don't come into contact with them physically. They don't come into contact with our collections physically. So it requires us to do more outreach. Instead of working in the library, we go out, we visit faculty in their offices, we go to classrooms, we go to college houses. So it's really transformed the way we do service, not only around collections, but around all aspects of reference service and delivery.
Okay.
So, yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, Dick, Karen, Johan, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was Richard Griscom, Karen Phillips, and Johan Telstra. This concludes our 4-part series on how academic libraries can embed themselves deeper into the research workflow. This series was brought to you by Sage Publishing. Find all of the episodes of the Authority File on your favorite podcast app or on our website, choice360.org. Just click on the Librarianship drop-down. On choice360.org, you'll also find information on Choice's entire product platform, including Choice Reviews, CC Advisor, Choice Webinars, resources for college libraries, our white papers, and a whole lot more. A great way to keep up with the Authority File is to join the Choice Authority File Facebook group, which you can access via the Choice Reviews Facebook page. As a member of the group, you can give us feedback, suggest podcast participants, chat with other listeners, and submit new topic ideas. Sponsorship and advertising for the Authority File podcast are handled by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino, and all of our episodes are produced by Choice's digital media specialist, Mark Dirks. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.